What's going on YouTube? So the BMW X3 is of course an extremely important product for the BMW brand, and they just redesigned it last year.
And even though it's only been a year, BMW has made some notable interior quality improvements this year.
So what are those updates and how does it stack up against the competition? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So getting started here with a quick spec dump, we've still got two powertrains under the hood. We have the mainstream version, which most people will buy. This is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a mild hybrid system making 255 horsepower. It's got an 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. Combined fuel economy is 29 mpg.
Now, the base price of the X3 for 2026 is $51,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we're going to be taking out for a spin later on. We'll get things like our sound level reading, as well as discuss resale and reliability at the end.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the bold exterior before we move on to the interior and check out those updates. So with this next generation X3, really the name of the game is bold. They went bold with this design, and you'll see that up here in the front. Now, just like all the other BMW products, you've got a few different selections you can make. You can go for a more conventional luxury grille, we'll call it. That's what's standard. Or you can upgrade to the M Sport. That's going to give you this more aggressive finish. So, of course, your signature kidney grills, which have the crisscross lines now, that's going to be blacked out. Also, this area through here is going to be blacked out, and you get the more aggressive lower fascia with that option. You might also notice that we have lights that illuminate around the outside edge. That gives us a very distinct look at night. Moving to the other lighting, we have LED headlights standard on all models. This is the standard arrangement. As you can see, you've got your projector LED low and high beam and your daytime running light and turn signal indicators with the fading effect. You can also upgrade to a little bit more premium of a cluster, which includes cornering lamps. Then, of course, as we move our way around to the back, it continues with a bold look as well.
Yeah, and there's not going to be any design changes for 2026. So we have a spoiler up here at the top, a rear window wiper, and let's check out our taillights and see if all the elements are LED. Of course, this is a new taillight design itself, and then we have our LED brake light and turn signal indicator, and then down here at the bottom is where your LED reverse light is located. For the 30 models, you're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets. You can get a quad exhaust setup on the M50, and as far as your tow rating, it's 4,000 pounds for this one or 4,850 pounds for the M50.
Now, as with any BMW, you have a lot of wheel choices as well. That begins at 19 inches and moves up to 21-inch alloys. We have a 21-inch option on today's model. As you can see, we've got the 5-spoke full kind of matte black finish. I think these look pretty cool. They also give you plenty of space there to see the available red finish brake calipers. Moving up to the mirrors, we have a turn signal indicator built into them. They also have all the features on board that you're going to want, including power folding and auto dimming on the driver's side.
Now at the side, the X3 is 187.2 inches, and as far as design touches are concerned, we have blacked out window surrounds as well as blacked out roof rails up here at the top. Of course, we have the M Sport variant. You can get chrome if you prefer that. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, you're going to have 3 out of 4 active safety features as standard equipment on the X3, and if you want all of them, you can option on the Driver's Assistance Professional Package, which will give you adaptive cruise control with a highway assistant. But guys, without further ado, we need to go ahead and talk about the interior and what BMW has updated in there. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from sound level readings to cargo measurements, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now let's move to the interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. This is your standard BMW key fob on the X3. Remote start is also available, by the way. Just happened to have Another X3 key. This is for an M50 model, so you get a higher end finish on that. Getting inside, just reach behind the door handle here. That will unlock the door and it flips upward. And then we'll take a peek inside the interior. Now there's several details which we are getting ready to point out that have changed for 2026. But before we get into that, we need to start by talking about the seats as always. So the Vengaza faux leather is what is going to be standard on this model. You've got a few different colors that you can choose from as you would expect. And you can also get optional merino leather if you want the real thing. That being said, Mason and I always talk about this, but this is one of the best faux leathers in the entire auto industry in terms of how real it feels and the stitching details. So I think that this might be the best move for long-term durability. Also, as you can see, you get the stitching details, you have good bolstering, you have a manual thigh extension, lots of adjustments down here, including bolster adjustments. So that's pretty impressive to have. Furthermore, memory seats are located up there on the door trim. And let's get inside. Now that we're in here and everything's all fired up, let's just kind of jump right into those interior improvements. So BMW got a little bit of flack for some of the cheaper elements they had inside of this interior versus the previous generation. They are updating some things this year, and we went through and actually checked kind of item by item what is different here so we can show you guys. Starting out over here on the door trim, we have the leatherette that runs through here and soft touch plastic through here. This is an update. This panel was previously a matte plastic. Now we have a gloss black plastic on the 30 models. The M50 already had the gloss black. As we move into this area, of course, you've got this light strip here, which is part of the elaborate ambient lighting. But you might notice the door handle finish. This is now a silver. Previously, this was just a matte black, kind of like matching with the rest of the trim. If we're really getting into the weeds here, the X3 branding there is now an outline instead of just a solid text. I think that looks a little bit better. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is finished in a leatherette and you've got the 3 stitching details. But what's different about this is the fact that this is now standard on all models. Previously, your lower end examples without the M Sport package, this would not have that element. And then right here in the center section, this is where we have some open pore wood that looks quite nice. You can also get aluminum or some other selections if you prefer. Now, let's look at some other details inside of the interior. Of course, our gauge cluster, we've got the 12.3-inch BMW digital cockpit system, fully reconfigurable with a ton of different designs and information that you can do right there on the steering wheel. Our model doesn't have it, but you also have a available head-up display, which has about the same number of customizations. As we pull back, we've got the M Sport steering wheel with the flat bottom, nice thick bolsters. It's a good-looking steering wheel. It's manual tilt and telescoping, and you have available heating on board. Rain-sensing wipers as well. And then let's take a look at interior storage, as always. Of course, that's a big improvement versus the previous generation. They've kind of opened up some of the spaces, and we also have donuts inside because we want to check the volume, of course, like we always do here at Car Confections. This console fits 9 donuts. Pretty good performance for this class. This big bin, though, is kind of what makes this vehicle more versatile than the previous generation because you've got 2 very deep cup holders, standard wireless phone charging pad over here, and then this side you can just use for storage. So here's our key card as well, and you've got a couple of USB ports. Now taking a look at the shifter itself, just the nub style, pull back for drive, bump again if you want to go into a manual shift mode. It has paddle shifters on the steering wheel. When we go into reverse, this is our standard backup camera, so if you're wondering what that looks like, there you go. Obviously you can get a 360 camera if you prefer. That's going to be part of the parking assistance package. And just press that P there for park. You also have auto brake hold and an electronic parking brake. Now in this region, you'll notice something that's kind of unique about this model is the fact that it still has an iDrive controller. That's something that none of the BMW models going forward are going to retain. So if you like that, this X3 is going to be good for you. We also have a volume roller for the audio system. So today we're showing you actually the standard sound system. So this is what BMW just calls hi-fi. You also can get a Harman Kardon sound system optionally. Let's take a listen. Overall, sound quality is not too bad. I think if you're not a huge audiophile, you'll be more than satisfied with that system. Okay, now let's kind of move on through the interior. One thing they did not update any this year was the climate control system and the overall adjustment of this. So they still have the kind of odd rollers that are down below the vents for you to actually control the vents themselves. And then you've got these little touch sliders inside of the light here where you can control the flow. The temperature adjustments themselves are going to be done right there in the touch screen. And if I tap there, I can get to some additional menus. If I tap on that, that's where I can get my heated seats. And I also have the available ventilated seats on this tester. And then, of course, the steering wheel as well has 3 stages of heating. Now, as far as the system itself, we're looking at 14.9-inch display, very similar to what we've seen on many other BMW products. This is a good system here with iDrive, the latest version of iDrive, and as you can see, good performance. This is the built-in navigation system. We also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on board. Up top, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade here for the panoramic sunroof. The thing I want to point out is just be aware that this does not open up like it did in the previous generation.
So let's go ahead and talk about the rear seats in the X3. So first and foremost, we need to discuss overall space in this model, which has been improved for this new generation. It's one of the most spacious in the entire segment. So we're sitting at 36 inches of legroom and 38 inches of headroom. Those, like I said, are very good numbers for the segment, especially the headroom. It feels very open and airy back here. Of course, we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is so we can get a realistic knee room figure. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and I'm 5'9". And we're looking at a very solid 8 inches of knee space, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seat. Speaking of the seats, they are pretty comfortable back here. The middle one is a little bit stiff, but most of the actual seating is pretty comfortable. And then as far as the seats themselves, they do not recline, so be aware of that. You can also get optional heating. If you fold down the central armrest, there are 2 cup holders inside. And as far as other features are concerned, you have this whole panel here. You adjust the vents the same way as you do in the front with this kind of like little roller thing. And then down below, you can get optional 3-zone climate with your own climate controls back here for the rear. USB ports are down below that, and then you also have this little attachment area that you can attach different accessories to for things like an iPad. Now let's talk about the door trim. We have optional rear window sunshades, not on this model, but as far as the overall door materials, really nothing has changed for 2026, besides for that silver painted door handle. That has been updated this year. However, I'm a little disappointed to tell you that they haven't given you the piano black for the actual door grab itself, so that's just going to be that matte black plastic. One thing I really like about the door trim, though, is the fact that you have a ton of door storage. So as you can see, you can easily just swallow up big bottles like that here in the door storage. Now walking up to the tailgate area, of course, we have a hands-free power tailgate. And let's discuss overall cargo capacity. So we're sitting at 31 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, we're looking at 67 cubic feet of space. So just like the rear seat area, this is going to be one of the largest options in this entire luxury compact SUV segment. And by the way, if you do happen to be cross-shopping this X3 with other luxury compacts or any vehicle segment, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've gone through all of the numerous options and ranked them in individual categories that might matter more or less to you. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, luxury features, safety, as well as value are all accounted for. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, back to this model, we have a 40-20-40 split folding rear seat area. There are not any handles to do it from the cargo area though, so you will just have to kind of either reach up here and fold it down, which honestly, it's not too bad, and I'm not that tall, so I think the vast majority of people will be able to do that, or just go up to the second row and do it. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures as well. So as far as overall cargo length behind Drew's driving position, we're sitting at 71 inches. From behind the second row of seats, we're looking at 36 inches. 42 inches wide. Overall height is a little over 28 inches. And then we get our cargo load in as well. That's sitting right at 31 inches. Now, if we lift up the floor, as you can see, we do actually have a spare tire. That's becoming increasingly rare in the segment. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 BMW X3. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration so you can see what the powertrain is all about.
And there we are, getting up to 60 miles per hour. And like we said, we've got the X330. So this is the mainstream. This is what most people will buy. And as you can tell, acceleration there is pretty spiffy overall. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. We also have a mild hybrid system. And compared to the previous gen, it makes more power. We're at 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, I think it really feels like maybe even more power than you would expect from those power figures.
Yeah, I think you really feel the torque. It pushes you back in your seat. And I do want to point out, compared to the last BMW X3, that is going to be up quite a bit when it comes to torque figure, as well as a little bit on the horsepower side as well. And then if you really want all the power, you can also get the X3 M50, which is going to have the 3-liter turbo inline 6-cylinder. That makes 393 horsepower. And that's, of course, kind of, the fun option. It's going to have a lot more performance chops than the standard version. But like Drew said, I think this is going to be more than adequate for probably 85% of X3 buyers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, it's got an 8-speed automatic, which is nice and smooth when you accelerate hard or just kind of putting around town. We've also, of course, sampled out the more performance-oriented version, the M50, and in that case, it also has really snappy shifts when you're using the paddles.
All right, let's get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour so we can see how quiet this X3 is. Wow, that is very good, guys. 50.9 decibels is what we settled in at as our sound level reading here in the X330 model. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to some of the competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And guess what, guys? That actually makes it the very quietest option in the luxury compact space. It actually beats out the Mercedes GLC as well as the all-new Audi Q5 as well. I do want to point out some of the other versions of the X3 we sampled out. Actually, the M50 tested a little bit higher than that as well. So I think, kind of switching to the luxury focus, just 30 model really hones in your, luxurious experience and quiet cabin. So that's something I do want to point out between the models. And an important element when it comes to a luxury vehicle like this is overall ride quality. And, ever since we started driving this model a little bit ago, I have to say this vehicle really rides very nicely. We had the privilege of living with an X3 M50 for a full week, and we've driven several versions of the X3, and all of them have impressed us. This thing rides very nicely. The seats are comfortable, and even if you select the large wheels on the outside, I believe all the testers that we've had have had like 21-inch alloy wheels, it still rides great. So I can imagine this being a great road trip vehicle.
Yeah, and these seats are really comfy.
Also good for road trips would be your fuel economy, so let me quickly point that out as well. This 30 model really comes in exceptionally good. You're sitting at 2733.29 mpg. That, of course, is courtesy of the fact that we do have a mild hybrid system on board, so we'll go ahead and turn the engine off, before you even come to a stop. And it is also incredibly smooth when it refires. And then as far as the M50, that still gets great fuel economy even despite being a 6-cylinder. That comes in at 27 mpg combined.
Now, we don't have any real curvy roads on today's drive route, but I do want to point out, of course, being a BMW that does have a certain level of athleticism just kind of built into it. Even if you get one of the more luxury-minded versions, the steering in the standard mode here is light, but very nice and responsive. Of course, when you change the drive modes, you are going to get different adjustments to various elements, and you can get a much more sporty model by going for the M50. That's going to be able to give you the most aggressive experience if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, as well as things like adaptive dampers. Now, let's also get into our slam dunk and airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the X3. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk?
Well, today it's pretty simple. The slam dunk is going to be that BMW took customer feedback and made some improvements to the finishes inside this interior. I definitely like that. Just 1 year in, they are actually responding to some feedback, because that's very difficult for an automaker to make those adjustments in just 1 year. We could say just right on the airball side of things is that they could have gone further. It doesn't make this the class-leading interior or anything like that. So hopefully they'll keep listening to feedback, and then we'll see more updates next year, the year after that, etc., etc.
Let's discuss pricing for the X3. So prices for 2026 are going to rise around $1,000 on all versions. That means your new base price is sitting at the $50,900 mark. As you can see, we have the 2026 X3 30 model. We have a pretty well-equipped model, but we don't have all the options, and we're sitting after $1,175 destination at $60,095 as tested today. Now, the final assembly point for this vehicle, if you are curious, is going to be in Greenville. So this is actually manufactured in the U.S. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this BMW X3's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 41.19% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 15.3%. Now, it's worth noting that is lower than industry average. However, it is on par with other German luxury makes, such as Mercedes-Benz, Audi, as well as other brands like Cadillac.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources of reliability studies and combines them in a way that gives you a holistic picture. In this regard, BMW is rated just a little bit above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or our reliability data, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a decent one. It's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. You do, however, get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance, which is pretty rare for a German brand. And guys, that'll wrap up our in-depth review of the 2026 BMW X3. If you enjoyed watching this video, as well as learning about all the details that have changed for the 2026 X3, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We also try and cover the latest cars on the market, and if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.